Hey everyone, this is Stephen Almond. Welcome to my exorcism.io series and to part 2 of the acronym exercise from the Ruby track. Now at the end of part 1, I had the code working, I had the tests passing, and I asked the question, is this good enough? So what do I mean by that? What am I thinking about when I want to do refactoring? It's really the question, is this code going to be difficult or easy to maintain? When you take on a piece of code, you're really taking on ownership of something that you have to care for over the life of it. And I mean, I don't have numbers to back this up, but I've often thought that the real lifetime cost of ownership of a piece of code is its long-term maintenance cost. It's not the cost of getting it written in the first place. People often say things like code is read more times than it's written. I don't know that that's necessarily true, but I think it's good to optimize for that, because the fact is when I come back in 6 months to add to this, to change it, to do something, I'm not going to remember all of the context I have in my head right now about what this does. And so really the questions that I'm asking when I ask, is this maintainable? I'm asking, how readable is this? How long is it going to take me when I come back in cold to understand what's going on here? How clear is it going to be? Is this one piece of code doing too many things? Meaning, is it going to change for many different reasons, or is it just going to change for one reason? Does this piece of code know too much about too many things, other parts of the system, so that it would have to change because something else changed? Those sorts of questions. So when I look at this, I don't know, I really see a couple of things happening here. I see we're coming in and we are doing this upcase. We are normalizing the phrase, I think you could call that, in that we are putting everything to uppercase because that's what we want the output to be at the end. So that no matter what we get in, it's uppercase before we act on it. We're splitting it and then we're mapping it and then we're putting it back together. So it's possible, let's see. So here's one strategy, is you just read it. We're calling acronym.abbreviate phrase. You take your phrase, upcase, split on non-word characters, map to the first character of each word and join. And that is what it means to abbreviate. Is that clear enough by itself? Maybe. So let's go ahead and make our first submission here with this version of it. Which I would have done anyway, right? It's like I like to submit. I like to go ahead and put the first working version I come up with as the first thing. So what else could we do here? If we were to do more, the second question I ask is, we have this class method here that's just this sort of procedural function that does this. Should we create an object here to do this? Maybe. And I'm not really decided on this. I don't have a hard feeling one way or the other, but I just want to show you what that might look like if we do it. So what abbreviate phrase would probably do is just call new with the phrase and ask for the abbreviation, I think, is probably what I would want it to do. Let me just move this down here for the moment. Oh, wait. There we go. I think this is the code that I want. I want to be able to call new phrase abbreviation and have that object know how to be initialized with a phrase and return an abbreviation. So let's see, what would that look like? So initialize would take a phrase, right? Usually you do something like this. You save it into an instance variable that is then available for all of your subsequent code. But what I'm actually going to do here, I think, is everything else really acts on the words. And I don't know. I guess the question becomes, do we want to hang on to phrase or not? Maybe. Let's just do this for now. Normalize phrase. Okay. And so this is going to give me an array of words that are uppercase. Well, is that what I want to do with that? Normalize phrase, that, because this is not really, this is doing too much. For now, let's just do this. Okay, that's going to give us what we're looking for. Let's move this out of here. For the moment, because I've gone farther than I'm comfortable with without executing my tests and having green tests. So what I'm going to do is bring this mapping back in on words. And okay, yeah, I haven't created normalize yet. So let's do that. We're going to have a private method down here called normalize that is going to take a phrase. And what I said before was it's going to do this. And you know what? Something I like to do in a place like this is I like to sanitize my input. But actually, let's just do it here. Normalize phrase. Which in this case, I'm gonna ensure that I have a string. All right, everybody's happy again. All my tests are passing. That's what I wanted to see. So what have I done here? I sanitize the input to make sure that whatever I've been given, if it can be converted to a string, it is. And then I get the words by normalizing the phrase and splitting it on non-word characters. I feel like that's probably pretty self-contained. So like, let's look at the next phase here, abbreviation. Abbreviation takes the words and it maps each word to the initial letter and then joins it back together. I mean, that feels pretty good to me. That's pretty clear. It's telling me. I guess that's one of the things that I ask, right? Is like, is there something here that could use a name that would make it clear what it is? I want my code to tell a story, right? That here, when I call acronym.abbreviate with a phrase, I get a new acronym with that phrase, and I ask for its abbreviation. So what does that mean? So initialize, we make sure we have a string for our phrase, and then words is normalize phrase split there. So what else could we do with this instead of setting that to an instance variable that we're only using here? So another thing I might do in this case is I might put that inside of a method. So that abbreviation in this case reads, so the only thing that I'm saving to an instance variable is the original phrase. And then abbreviation, sorry, I like to have all of my instance methods below my class methods. Abbreviation is going to take words.map, first character of each word, and then join it back together. Yeah, so I think this is pretty good. This would be, so again, if my question is, how hard is this going to be for me to understand down the road, right? In 6 months when I come back and I don't really remember any of the context I had when writing this, how long is it going to take me to get what's going on? You want to minimize all of those little mental hiccups, all of the weeds you have to hack through to accomplish the thing you're trying to do, which could be fixing a bug, it could be adding some new functionality, or changing a behavior. And every little obstacle, every little piece of mental work that I have to do makes it take just that much longer, takes that much more energy later. So I want to save myself that work, or whoever the next developer is that's coming in to look at this. And there's probably more that we can do here, but I think this is probably pretty good. This is what it would look like to create a class, to actually execute the guts of that acronym.abbreviate method. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and submit this as a second version. So let's go take a look. So now, as you can see up here, we've actually got both solutions in place. And if you want, you can go and check community solutions and see what other people did, or you can do what I did and go ahead and mark this solution as complete. And then choose your next exercise.